Statistically, as a large group, 1 day of life is lost. For the people that crash, it's like a lot of days. But again, these are all statistics. So basically, for our radiation doses that we're allowed to get occupationally, those are based on data like this, where they look at other, what the government refers to as safe industries. Okay? And we're in that group. Okay? 5,000 millirad a year, whole body, is considered safe from a risk point. And face it, we get a lot less than that. You know that. And then you have to make allowances for if you're doing a lot of fluoroscopy, you're what? All of your torso, good chunk of your thighs are covered in lead. So you have to take that into account. You're no longer getting whole body exposure. But there's a lot of things that create a shortness in life. So they look at lifespan shortening for radiologists. Kind of interesting. This is an old graph. This is from an old textbook, but it shows something really, really interesting. If you'll go back to like 1935, radiologists didn't do as well as the general population. It's just, average age of death was way below. But look what happens. What happened between, remember the lecture I gave first night of class? All the things that happened and the advancements made until 1960 and beyond. Look what happened. At 1960, they crossed. This continued to go up, by the way, and this stayed on the trend it was at. Radiologists got to the point where they were losing less life than the general population because radiation protection became a much bigger part of their practice. And you think about the folks before this, the guys, were checking the x-ray tube with, I can see my hand, wiggle my fingers, woohoo, that's cool. They didn't live long at all. Okay. So I think some of this, certainly led me to say, well, maybe there's, hormesis has more of an issue than what we thought. But this is how you define relative risk. Observed cases divided by expected. Okay, guys, you can go to sleep for a second. In utero effects. So, for women working in any radiation-related industry, of course, the concern is, what if I get pregnant? What's the risk to me? What's the risk to my unborn child? The time of exposure is anywhere between the first 2 weeks. Typically, it's going to result in a spontaneous abortion. The natural response to that is 25%. 25% of women who get pregnant spontaneously abort before they even think or suspect that they're pregnant. Okay. It's a very natural thing. Creating life is not something your body takes kind of like, it's easy to do. Nah, has to be good conditions for that. Okay? So you have a 25% natural occurrence. Radiation response, 0.1% added to that. 2 to 10 weeks. Now they're concerned about potential congenital abnormalities. Natural occurrence is 5%. Okay. Radiation response may add another percent. 2 to 15 weeks, consideration is in mental retardation. Natural occurrence is 6%. Radiation response, maybe 0.5%. 0 to 9 months, malignant disease, natural occurrence is 8 out of 10,000. That goes up to 12 out of 10,000. Impaired growth and development, natural occurrence is 1%. Radiation response, nope. Genetic mutation, natural occurrence is 10%. Unable to find a radiation response. Now, does that mean you can just say, hey, I don't need my lead apron, I don't need it. No, of course not. No matter how low, I look at it this way, if there's something easy you can do to make it lower, you do it. I don't think there's anything where it's such a thing as too low. Background. We're being irradiated right now. And being in a building with concrete walls kind of enhances that, by the way. Got different countries with different areas, different types of natural soil, sand, and rock. Different locations a function of altitude because of cosmic. What's interesting is Kerala, India has monazite sand. I worked with a lady who was born and raised in Kerala, and beautiful place. I would love to go. Background is 1.3 sievert a year. Okay. And I asked her about that. She said, oh, they study that all the time. But it's apparently a very special area. It's kind of a confined geologic area. They know about the high exposure rate. But what's interesting is if you compare their rate of cancer, birth defects, and all of the rest of it to the population around there, their rates are much lower. And it's well outside of the statistical variation you'd expect. It is statistically lower. So again, just something to take away. It's very few areas in the world where you've got matched populations. Some are getting high background and some population immediately adjacent is getting something different. Other source of exposure. If you fly, you're gonna get nailed. Sleep with another person, yep, small, but it's measurable. What do you think this is due to?
STDs.
Naturally occurring radioactivity in your body. Anybody here eat bananas? Only 3? Come on, everybody eats bananas. Bananas have potassium. There's an isotope of potassium naturally occurring that has a very low energy beta. There's C14 in our food. I mean, there's all sorts of these things. So there's that. TV, we don't worry about that anymore. This is old. You can scratch this because we don't use cathode ray tubes anymore. Eyeglasses, no, everybody's basically using plastic lenses, but if you're still using glass, you can get some exposure because of the coating they put on there. For example, the coating that they put on the Mercury and Apollo missions, the capsules that went into space and the moon, they put a coating on that glass, and it was kind of like yellowish tint. That was uranium. Dental porcelain can have some. Tobacco. Tobacco's nasty. Tobacco plants have a natural affinity for a certain type of naturally occurring radioactive material in the soil, concentrates it in the leaves, and of course you're inhaling that all down into the very sensitive tissues of the lung. And so they believe that that's that's why smoking leads to lung cancer. That epithelial layer of cells in your lungs is really, really thin, and I think this is a beta emitter. Radon. There are certain areas of the country, if you're going to sell your house, you have to have radon in your basement tested and show that it's low enough to meet EPA before you can sell your home. Building materials, 7 millirem per year. Road construction, natural gas, luminous wristwatches. Grand Central Station, there's a lot of granite in Grand Central Station. There's a lot of natural occurring radioactive material in the concrete. Okay, so it's all background. Other risks of pregnancy. This is a very busy slide, but the other things that can affect German measles, rate of occurrence is 2 and 3. Cigarette smoking, whether it's less than 1 pack or greater than a pack, There's the rate of occurrence, alcohol consumption, maternal age. This is changing. I just read something. Lady, what was she, 75 or was she 95? She had twins. The oldest birth ever recorded, and the twins are perfectly healthy.
Had better be not 95.
I'm sorry, I'm 68. There's no way in hell I'm going to be changing diapers at my age. I'm sorry. That's a no. Altitude, radiation exposure to 1,000 millirem. Bomb exposure, 4 to 14 weeks gestation, Hiroshima or Nagasaki. So there's different types of maternal. Pregnancy is risky. Now, we're going to do an in-class exercise. Shouldn't take you long. I will give you the answers after you. I want you guys to work on this on your own, please. This is not a group exercise. Put your name on it. We will go through the answers. And if you do this and you don't screw it up, this is a guaranteed 10 points, okay? Doesn't sound like much, but 10 points can be the difference between A and a B.